And welcome back to Loose Change. It's your boy, The Show Off, and I'm back. So, two questions. First of all, there's some videos that I make that I'm really shocked that I even have to make these videos or whatnot, that I really even feel the need to address these things, but I actually still make them. So, two questions, really for the ladies. If a person can't show you emotion, can he really show you love? Can he really show you that he cares about you? Can he really show you that you're important to him? If he can't show any emotion. And number two, y'all do realize that there is a difference between being emotional and being feminine. You do realize, do you realize that there is a difference between being and being emotional and being feminine? Because first of all, other than genitalia, femininity and masculinity are something that is um, basically someone's benchmark. It's based off of someone's standards and what they thought or what they think femininity is, and it's actually to the eye of the beholder. All right. So other than genitalia is the only thing that you can look at a person and basically and tell that they're male or female. But with that being said, y'all, everything else is based off of what we've been taught in society. Now, of course, things have changed, and there are certain things that are more acceptable now than it was, say, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago. There are things that are more acceptable now. For instance, you may actually see a man with a fucking dress on. Not saying that I'm into that kind of shit, but I'm just saying you may actually see a man with a dress on as a fashion statement or whatever the case may be, or whatever they for whatever reason. Um, Now, just because I can cook, that doesn't mean, which is largely associated with, well, it used to be largely associated with women. Just because I can cook, that doesn't make me a woman, does it? Or just because, like, if I'm single, damn, should I go without eating or eat out every fucking day because I'm single? Because I don't know how to cook? No, I've learned how to fucking cook myself. Um, just because I know how to nurture a child as um, because I know how to nurture my children. Does that make me a mom? No. I'm just a dad who knows how to nurture his children. So, and vice versa, you know what I'm saying? Just because a woman does things that are largely associated, for instance, working. There was a time that it was very rare that you saw a woman in the workforce. Um, 30, 35 years ago. It was very rare that a woman was actually in the workforce. As times have changed, now you see more and more women in the actual workforce. So that doesn't make her a man. She's still a woman, doesn't it? So with that being said, emotion is just something that comes when you actually care. And that's it. So you can never ever judge if someone cares about you once you take emotion. Now, as men, we are expected to be this stoic individual who really cares about nothing, who really shows no caring about anything that goes on until it is deemed to be um, necessary by our women. As black men, this is what is expected of us. So anytime we show any emotion or whatever the case may be, you may hear it in an argument at home with your boyfriend or whatever. You may hear yourself come off and say, "Oh, you a bitch," or you may come off and say, "Oh, hear yourself come off and say, who's the woman in the relationship? You always bitching and moaning," or some shit like that, something to that effect. All right. Now, I think that benchmark comes from one of several things. But the main things it comes from is the world has taught our females, our black females, the world has taught you to judge men based off of worldly things that they pass on to you. For instance, how much he spends on you, what he may buy for you, or whatever the case may be. But I challenge you with this. A man may walk into a strip club, see a woman for the first time, and throw all kinds of cash on her for no reason, just because he lusts for her. He doesn't love her. He's not in love with her, but he lusts for her. So to put yourself in that same category and to basically judge how someone feels about you based off of the same thing that a man will do, and if he goes to a strip club, it shows you how much you really think of yourself and how much you really think of what you are. So at the end of the day, basically the last couple of videos or whatnot, I talked a lot about judging someone based off of effort. Things will come, all right? Now, when you judge a person based off of things like money, what they do for you, how they do for you, or whatever the case may be, and a dude that is invested in you and you've invested in them, yeah, they should do things for you, but like, not to a ridiculous level. To the only thing, here's the thing, if that's the only thing that you judge a person for, matter of fact, if not even the only thing, if your judgment for a person is based off of, if your judgment for a person is based off of if what he does for you supersedes love, you might want to classify yourself into the oldest profession. In other words, if you would leave a man because of hard times, even though he's taking care of you and everything else in the past, if you would leave him because maybe his hours get cut or maybe he loses his job, if you leave him immediately because of that, you might classify yourself as a prostitute. That's simply that. If it supersedes your love, you could make a case that you are actually in the business of prostitution. So let's be clear about this. There are things that are important, all right? There are, all of this stuff feeds into different things that are said about the black man today. The times have changed. And you're still looking for black men to be like your grandfathers and your mother, like your grandfathers, your older uncles, and your fathers. However, the grandfather and the grandmother made what they made because they were that way for each other. However, they were for each other. So there's an equal and opposite reaction. These things are laws and physics. And what you get in you will get out. What you put in, you will get out. It's simple cliches to this stuff that explain everything. But basically, the bottom line that I'm making is, a man being emotional only shows that he cares. So when you look at emotion as a negative thing, and that's what it is, that's what you want to do. You want to look at a man being emotional about shit that's going on as a feminine trait. Therefore, a lot of you won't allow him to lead because you look at him as a feminine. When someone is telling you something, if they constantly have to go back and clean up your mess after you do everything he told you not to do, that might make a man emotional. It's no different than going and cleaning up the kitchen when you haven't been the one eating. Like if your kids go fuck up the kitchen every day and you constantly cleaning up after them or whatever the case may be, that becomes, it gets to you. It's no different. Now people show emotion when they care. I hate to tell y'all that, but it's a definite difference between being emotional and being feminine. Emotions is not gender based. It's heart based. Show off.